Our current Airbnb brand manages around 10 Airbnbs, but it wasn't always like this. In fact, when we first started doing Airbnb, we weren't even considering managing it ourselves. Originally, when we first started doing the Airbnb business, we were working with a short-term rental management company. And this company is supposed to be one of the best in the area. They manage a lot of listings, and it's almost like you can find them anywhere. So when they showed us how strong their Airbnb data was, we were immediately attracted and decided to invest. Little did we know that the data we were looking at was only the tip of the iceberg, and there was so much crap under the water that we did not see. Today I'll be sharing with you guys my experience with this management company and why I ended up doing what I did. Managing Airbnbs was not one of our specialties when we first started. We were good with buying houses, with design, and with construction. However, management, that was something that was out of our picture. I had no idea what makes a good listing. We did not know where to price our house, and we had absolutely no strategies in our book whatsoever. So when we first started, we felt more comfortable to just hand over our houses to somebody who is an expert in the field, who we trust can supposedly help us gain the maximum revenue. We were told that they have in-house management teams, in-house cleaner, and handyman that was able to provide service 24/7 depending on our needs. Not only that, they made sure to let us know that their expectations for their listings are very, very high, meaning they have high cleaning standards, and we were told that they built their own in-house pricing algorithm system. And that is a system that will ultimately drive our listing to success. We wanted to try it out. So my boss actually promised them 2 houses in the desert to try. The first house that we handed to them was a small, like 800 square feet, 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom house. When the management team came to look at the house for the first time, they really liked it, and they told me this house is really cute and it would do good. I mean, that's the kind of things we like to hear, so we were very, very excited. I know I learn fast when I see things and do things hands-on. So I decided to move to the desert, stayed there for a few months, and was doing full-time construction. Since I was in the desert a lot, I would go check on our houses occasionally. In the beginning it was alright, the house was clean, it was new, everything was great. But eventually I started finding things every time I went to check on the house. Sometimes it's hair on our bed sheets, sometimes it's a missing duvet cover or pillowcases, sometimes the floor is not even swept, and we seem to find our AC on all the time, even when there are no guests. It was really funny because I would always be finding something and they would always be finding me the perfect excuse. The second home that we were going to hand over and have them manage is this beautiful 1,800 square feet home on 10 acres of private desert sand. We also added an 18-foot long infinity pool and spa system in the backyard that has jets and lights up at night. And the best part of all, it's heated water. So just imagine a vacation where you can totally relax in a perfect temperature hot tub under the Milky Way galaxy.
Nice.
This was the perfect listing. It is actually still one of our most popular listings. And originally, we were gonna hand that listing to the management company, but it was during this encounterment that we basically stopped doing business with each other. Our onboarding process usually goes like this. I tell them our listing is ready. The management company then sends me a survey to fill out with all the details in the house. They come to check the house, create the listing, and start handling everything from that point. Now this is where it gets interesting. Although this management company manages a lot of properties in the desert, they did not have an actual in-house property manager until I think it was like a month or 2 before this house was listed. And based on what I know, they did not even hire that girl full-time until the beginning of our listing. This property manager was originally one of their cleaners. If I could use 3 words to describe her, I would say she's young, outgoing, and a lot of fun. This girl and I had a pretty good bond back then, even when she got the job working full-time, and I felt sincerely happy for her. It was a few days before our house was about to list. One night, my team and I had no place to stay. So we decided to drive over to this beautiful house and stay the night there. It was already dark when we got there. Okay, get this. The driveway of this house is located next to the kitchen. And there is this big glass window in the kitchen that we usually don't close the curtains on because you're on 10 acres, you have no neighbors, there's no reason for you to close curtains, right? So when we pulled up to the house, we were able to see everything that was happening in the kitchen. We saw our property manager drinking wine, eating steak, with candles on the table, with a shirtless man. At the time, I was thinking I have to knock on the door and say hi because she already saw us when we pulled up with our headlights on. So I knocked on the door and it was like 10 seconds. And by the time she opened the door, the man in the house had already just put on his shirt. I was like, hi, what are you doing here? This girl was like,
oh, I'm just here doing an inspection of the house. Like, do you want us to leave? Like, we can leave right now if you want us to.
My uncle was with me that night and he was very embarrassed to have ran into something like this. So he said,
no, it's okay. You guys stay in the house. We will go grab a motel.
The girl was like,
are you sure? Like, we can leave right now,
So I looked at my uncle and I was like, first of all, this girl lives in the desert, okay? So she has her home. Meanwhile, we have no place to stay if we offer her to stay the night. So I looked at our property manager and I was like, I'm so sorry to interrupt, but we have no place to stay tonight. She was like,
oh, that's totally fine. Like, we can pack up right now and go.
So we got back into our car. Uncle was still super embarrassed and he decided that we would drive out of sight so it could be less awkward. It was so dark that night and Uncle scraped the bottom of his car on a rock while trying to give them some space. We waited probably like 10 to 15 minutes. When we got back to the house, we saw candles, we saw steak, we saw alcohol. You know what's funny, now thinking back to it, I remember when she introduced me to the guy, she was like, he is a producer from LA. Good for you, but what is a producer doing in my house?
Day 3.
I guys checked out and I went to do an inspection of the home. When I stopped by the house, the cleaning was already done. So the cleaner was only there for a little bit. So when the cleaner was there, I asked her for her cleaning routine. After the cleaner left,
a few moments later,
property manager stormed in. First thing she said was,
what do you want from me?
What? What do I want from you? Now here's how you know somebody is guilty of something. All I've done for the past few days was covering for her act. Neither Uncle or I have mentioned anything about what happened that night to anybody. Because she knew she f***ed up, she was so scared that I would tell somebody, and it for sure did not put her in a good place. She was yelling, she was screaming, she was like,
what do you want from me? Like, why are you picking on me?
For 3 minutes straight. I looked at her and I was like, what's going on? She said, my
cleaner said that the owner's in the house asking a bunch of questions and she doesn't look happy.
That was very interesting to me because I know for a fact that the whole time the cleaner was there, I was very nice and I did not show any complaints. And then to end this conversation, she said,
that night I went over to your house to work. I was assigned by my company to stay at your house overnight and clean. And so whoever I choose to bring with me to do my job, that's my own personal business. And I shouldn't have to tell or explain to anybody.
Whoa! Okay. I don't know who gave her the confidence to say that, but whoa. This actually happened so long ago I could hardly remember the details, but I just remembered in that time it was very dramatic. She had the best excuses in the book, but I was not buying it. Come on, steak, candles, romantic dinner, shirtless man. Long story short, I did not hand over that listing because I knew they only had that one property manager out there in the desert and I was not able to trust her. But because the first house was already signed, we just kept that one going. So from then on, we started managing our own properties and began to learn and grow along the way. It took us a long time before we realized they were crap. but we actually don't work together at all anymore nowadays. And it wasn't until later that I found out the management company thought we did them wrong because we promised them a listing and we never gave it to them. So they actually got mad at us for not staying true to our word. It was a very, very long time later. And we are looking at the performance of that initial house that they were helping us manage. The return was really bad and it was not getting rented out. And I was still able to find shit every time I entered the house. It was not cleaned. Anything that they mentioned, like the corners, baseboards, don't even think about that. The encounter that ultimately ended everything for us was when I went into the 800 square feet house and I found our TV gone, our storage closet fell over, and our supplies were all over the floor. It was very obvious to me at that point that the supplies has been fallen for a very long time because the shampoo had already dried up on the floor. So I called up the management company and I asked, hey, what's going on to my house? The first thing they said to me was, what? What do you mean what happened? I was like, where's my TV and why is our storage on the floor? Their response was, oh yeah, your house was robbed last week. These mother... I did not know how I was supposed to react to that. I was like, oh, well, as the owner of the property, if this house was robbed, why was I not informed? Their response? Yeah, your house was not the only one that was robbed. There was also another house that was robbed. Oh my goodness. So what I got out of this whole experience is that this company is full of shit. They suck at management, they suck at cleaning, super irresponsible. And you know, in the past year that I've worked with them, I did not hear them say sorry. Not even once. Even when my house was robbed, they did not say sorry. They just said, oh, we don't know why it's robbed. Aren't these people terrible?